Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm so excited for season 2 and the great guests you're going to hear from, their struggles, how they overcame their struggles, their triumphs. Through personal and business life, I think they're tied together, and we're going to share great stories about that. This show isn't just about me. It takes a lot of good people working with me. Among them is my partner, H7 Network, and Clay Hicks. Building relationships, building community is the mission of H7 Network. They want to create a network of champions where everybody wins. Find out more at h7network.com. And we hope to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you through our show. Enjoy the show. We'll talk to you on the other side. This is your host, Steve Ramona, with another incredible episode with Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I've got a unique servant to here that lives by the model of goodness. Her name is Liesl, like diesel. Liesl, welcome to the show.
Yes.
And I'm excited. We talked before the show how we were talking, probably could have started the show then, about goodness. Why goodness?
Well, I think to me, firstly, Steve, thank you for having me on the show.
Okay.
And I think why goodness? Well, I think that goodness, isn't something that necessarily is something that comes to me naturally. It's something, and we can get into this, that I kind of slip sideways into. But I think goodness is really important because goodness is something, I define it as something that is sort of helping move everybody forward. I think that throughout the history of humanity, goodness has in slow ways persevered. And we call it the conspiracy of goodness, that there's all these people working in small ways that sometimes we don't know. They're not, loud, but there's a conspiracy of goodness going on. There's a wave of goodness and progress constantly going on. And I've just made it my personal mission and the mission of my organization to shine a light on those people, to make sure they get heard and celebrated and shared, because they're doing newsworthy stuff that we have to know about. And so as a person who puts out positive news, goodness is important because there's a balance of good in the world that we're just not hearing about. And it's changing the way that we fundamentally walk through the world. So goodness is important because it changes how we walk through the world, and it makes us live with less fear and more joy if we can bring it into our lives more often.
That's so well said. Could goodness ever be bad?
I think that it can be, and I think that there's conversations around intention all the time. I think it's one of those historical look backs. Very often we'll think, oh, that was so good for us to do. And so I think it takes time, and I think it takes listening. I think goodness takes listening to the people that you're helping, and really caring about what they have to say about what you're doing.
I love that, because if you're not listening, you don't know how to give them goodness, or in my case, doing business with a servant. How are you going to serve money unless you don't listen? That's the first action you need to take.
Yeah. I think people talk about the golden rule, and I think we had a thought leader call it the platinum rule. Instead of like, don't do to me what I would want, like, do unto others as you would do. Like, I think it's more like, do unto others as they would want. Like, it's one of those things where, people have their own way of coming about the world, and it's good to listen to them and then serve them in the way that they're telling you they need to be served.
Oh, that is so true. And let's dive into Goodness Exchange, because I'm excited for the listeners to learn about this. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so the Goodness Exchange is a positive news website. We've been around since 2014. We were previously called Ever Widening Circles. But we were started as a way to talk about and celebrate goodness in the world, talk about without politics or ads. So our big thing is that we don't touch things that are political. We don't have an advertising agenda, because for us, we think that there are amazing things happening in the world that we should all know about, and that we can all celebrate together to push for a better future. And so we were started, like I said, in 2014, actually by my mom, who's my co-founder in the Goodness Exchange. I came along a year after she started everything, and I was a really typical kind of very cynical Harvard student. I had just graduated, and she needed help with the project. And I don't know, I'm sure I was just a terrible person to be around at Thanksgiving, but I was like, oh, mom's stupid positive news website. Fine, sure. I'm just bumming around for the summer. I'll help. And I fell in love with the work. I fell in love with the writing part of it. I fell in love with researching learning about all these incredible stories of people that are doing real, meaningful, newsworthy things that are not getting celebrated, and fell in love with then the leadership aspect of it, the having a team, the building out a vision. And so from there, I think it just became my passion. I didn't come to it naturally, but certainly I think dealing in goodness all the time changes who you are on a fundamental level. It changes how you interact with the world. And so I think that that's one of the things that I'm currently most excited to talk to people about, really, is this transformational way that we can see the world if we start to introduce goodness into our lives more and more often.
Funny how you left your opportunities open by that. Oh, I'm not going to do it. And that's a great lesson for listeners to learn. Be open minded. Doesn't mean you're going to do the opportunity, but be open minded. Listen.
Mm.
If it's still not a fit, you move on. But for you, now you're changing the world.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I think you have to be open to serendipity sometimes. Like, I think you can have a very set path that you have in front of you, but if something is speaking to you more at a high, like more importantly, or you're saying like, wow, this lights me up every morning, or maybe it doesn't light you up, but you love like, I don't think I was lit up by it, but I love the confusion and I love the problem solving of it all. And then I was able to fall in love with more aspects of what I do. I think there's going to be messy times, but if you can fall in love with what you do in bits and parts and let the next part come to you, it can be a slow but positive road to hoe.
That's great. You took a piece of it and said, hey, I love this. Maybe the other thing will come. And that's a great way of looking at an opportunity. Don't look at the whole, look at pieces of it, and maybe you can change others. And we have entrepreneurs on here and people in business and owners too of business that listen to this. That's a great lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a member of Goodness Exchange. What am I going to see?
Yeah, so we put out we talk about slow media a lot. We're not trying to push you news stories every single day. We're not kind of like some of those other, I won't name the competitors, but we're not trying to push out everything every day. We put out new content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So as a member, you'll get original articles by us that feature incredible stories of thought leaders that are doing amazing things, organizations that'll leave you feeling super uplifted, stories about science and art and sort of all these aspects of our lives, like, again, that we can agree, like, wow, that's really incredible and it's pushing us towards a better future. Wednesday, we have a podcast that comes out. So if you're already a podcast listener, my mom is the person who does the interviewing on that. And she interviews thought leaders that are tackling some of the world's biggest problems and hearing why they think that the future is still bright. And it's one of those things where, it's incredible to listen to the people. And she interviews quite a few business owners that are starting B Corps or working through difficult leadership transitions that have found ways to do it so that it's better for people and the planet and also great for business. In addition to all of the nonprofit leaders that she interviews. So you'll get access to the podcast. And then on Fridays, we have content as well. We work with a lot of content partners from around the goodness sort of news sphere. And so we built up this great sort of hub where you can come and get endless access to positive news. And the great thing is, as a member, you can go back into the archive. So many of the things that we work on are evergreen. So if you ever need like a nibble of goodness, it's all there for you whenever you need it as a Goodness Exchange member.
What's the emotional response from a member when they either listen to the podcast or read one of these stories or watch a video of these stories? How do they respond?
Relief. I think relief is the word that comes to mind. I think right now we don't really have an emotion. We've maxed out our emotional capacity to deal with stress, right? And I think we talk about burnout, whether it's you or your employees. And I think we don't recognize the ways in which the negative news is a part of that burnout cycle. I mean, I've been joking about it, but in reality, like, you can go meditate on your cushion or do whatever your practice is in the morning to feel grounded and centered. And you can feel great, jolly good. And then you turn on the TV or you turn on the radio to go into work and you've got the negative news blaring at you. And you don't feel like any of that inner work that you've been doing or the kindness that you put out there is, whether you recognize this or not, it becomes exhausting, right? You can't upkeep that level of stress all the time. And so what we do for people is we very often are validating the idea that they think there's still goodness in the world and relieving them of the stress to know that, okay, maybe my biggest concern is the rainforest. It appears somebody is working on that. Maybe we noodle on things over. My biggest concern is, veterans getting access to care. Well, here's the way that veterans are doing amazing work for each other in remarkable ways. Maybe my concern is I mean, you name it, there's somebody tackling all the world's big problems. And I think when we give people a broader emotional capacity to deal with stress as it comes, because they know someone's handling some problem, whether they subconsciously understand it or not, it gives us more capacity to deal with our employees, our customers, our family members, our loved ones in a more meaningful way, and show up more present for them.
That's well said, and that's important what you do, because it'll affect that person in the goodness exchange, their periphery of their life, their
Yeah,
family, their friends, their business partners, their all that.
yeah,
Because isn't it true? And I don't know if there's statistics you may know. Your
yeah,
energy drops when you watch negative
yeah,
stories, and your energy increases when you're a good story. Like, I could tell you a story where my guest climbed a 9,000-foot mountain as a paraplegic. Every
right,
time I tell that story, there's a smile comes up and goes, wow,
right. I think
that your level goes up, right?
exactly. So when we actually look at the science of it, there's a study at Harvard that looked at in the workplace, creating an intervention of positive news in the workplace. And this researcher found that just 90 seconds to 4 minutes of positive news, people viewing 4 minutes of positive news in the workplace, decreased their anxiety by 32.4%, increased their feelings of optimism by 18%, and increased their feelings of gratitude, particularly for their like bodily health, by 12%. So we have this opportunity. Imagine if on your teams, you can make, what would happen if your team spent 32% less of their time stressed and
Huge.
18% of their time feeling more optimistic about the future of your business? I mean, that deeply, with 4 minutes, all you have to do is find 4 minutes in your workplace. And that's something we help organizations do. We work with them to implement a plan to create those spaces of 4 minutes in your workday so you can get people to be 32% less anxious about the world, 18% more optimistic, 12% more grateful. I mean, that changes the way we fundamentally work with each other, the way that your business runs. It puts meat on the bones of all of us saying, oh, we have a positive workplace. It really puts meat on the bones of us walking around and having something actionable to take away from 4 minutes of work in listening or reacting to positive news.
I'd love to know the stats on the productivity, because I know it's going to increase. I think it's going to be a lot. 32%
Yeah,
is pretty big,
yeah,
especially if you've got 100 or more employees,
oh
including
yeah.
management staff. It's huge. So I vision something like this. Liesl. I'm going to make sure I say your name right. I'm going to keep thinking diesel more motorcycles, which I love. Um, I walk into, because you walk into some of these offices, there's a TV up there,
Yeah,
and it's showing CNBC or a ticker, or, kind of what they do. So you might do is tell them, hey, here's a channel, or you find something that they can play on that TV all day. That's just
mm.
positive. Hey, did you hear about this? Did you hear about what they're doing here? And we just saved this. And that's the
Yeah,
kind
so
of
what
things,
we
right?
do, yeah, so similar to that. So what we do for organizations is we go in and we work with them in sort of a 60-day consulting manner. We start off, we get your leadership on board. This is huge. We have to have the leadership to care about this important thing, right? So if you're already a business leader and you're probably listening to this, you might be on board already. We start off getting people to understand the importance of why we have to integrate positive news. Listen, I was, grew up in a small business, so I can understand that you're not going to get every employee on board, but it's really important that we get our key leadership on board with finding ways to find this 4-minute intervention. So we come in, we help you do that. Then we look at your existing systems. Do you have a Slack channel or a Google Teams or some place that you're already interacting that we can start to insert positive news into? Then we look at the ways that you guys are running your meetings. Are there ways that we can incorporate this 4 minutes into our Monday meetings, or a threshold at the beginning of the day where people are checking their email and maybe they insert this 4 minutes of positive news? For us, and then we go in and we help you implement this and coach you through implementing it, and then give employees and make sure employees have access, all of them, to the Goodness Exchange and get them membership so that they can access them whenever they want. So that's sort of what we do. And I love problem solving. So for me, I get jazzed about going into settings and saying, how are you functioning, business? Let's find those 4 minutes in your day. Like, we can find 4 minutes. I know we can find 4 minutes, especially if it's going to make your employees 32% less anxious. And we're already concerned about things like burnout. We're concerned about things like employee engagement, and we're concerned about things like employee turnover. I mean, employee turnover is huge. And if we're bringing people on and purporting to have a positive workplace, and we're not fulfilling on that promise, that might be enough for people to walk. In fact, 70% of employees that were surveyed in a survey, I think it was by Gallup, said that they would leave an employer for another employer if they offered benefits that help them mitigate burnout. So we're looking at a huge number of people who are employees, who are looking for benefits that help them reduce burnout. And that's exactly what we do. We're helping companies reduce the stress and burnout of their employees using this 4-minute positive news intervention.
I love this because I implement this myself in my networking groups.
Yep.
And we even talked about this, and you didn't talk about going to businesses. I don't know anybody that does that. But at the end of all my networking meetings that I run, I do the PowerPoints. The very last one is some personal development. It might be Jim Rohn or Tony Rowe, something that's positive, like, you know, do you want to be your own boss, or, you know, something like that, whatever that is. And it's amazing how the room energy changes, but it's at the end, which is great. Maybe it wasn't a good meeting, but I see it all the time. And everybody say, hey, thanks for another great slide. It works because I've seen it. So you're on the right track. Let's do this because people need to find you. So how are they going to find you?
So if you head to goodness-exchange.com, we're there. So goodness-exchange.com. You can sign up. We've currently got this great 30-day hyper-personalized trial going on. So you can take a look at the Goodness Exchange for yourself. You can head to, on our page, there's a For Businesses section. And there you can learn more about how you can bring Goodness Exchange into your business. You can also feel free to email me, Liesl, Liesl, at goodnessexchange.com, goodness-exchange.com. We are also on all of the socials. You can just search Goodness Exchange, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, Pinterest even, I think. So you can follow us across the board there, and we're always putting out new content. And if you're more of like a laid back person, you don't want to try out a membership, we do put out a newsletter every week with positive content that can help you sort of kickstart your positive news for the week.
Yeah, I'm going to do something crazy. I always say this in the podcast. I want to change the word, but I love goodness because it really fits my podcast. So listeners, the first 5 people that reach out to her and mention the podcast, I will send you a gift from me, not from Goodness Exchange. It's going to come from me because I want all of you to reach out. Just reach out, find out about it. Join the newsletter. I'm going to join the newsletter. I think I did, or I haven't. I'm going to do it today because here's something I just realized as you were talking. That's why I love doing podcasts. I can take that good news and put it on my social media.
Exactly.
Hey, I just read in the Goodness Exchange that this, and this happened, because I'm always looking for content. So if you're a business owner out there or have a team doing your social media, here's a resource of goodness.
Exactly. And do connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm sure my name is in the thing. So Liesl, Liesl, Goodness Exchange. Connect with me over on LinkedIn for sure if you want to learn more about how we can connect your business to goodness. I think it's a key thing that we are missing as leaders a lot of the time. And I will let Steve know too when you reach out.
Yeah, and the show notes will have the information, and she doesn't know this yet, but I'm partnered up with her. We're going to do some things down the road here because this is a must. We need to turn this in the world. It's so negative. You said it earlier, but I watched the news one time a couple of weeks ago. I don't watch it, but it was on, and I go, come to count how many stories. There are 5 stories, all negative. I never heard one good story. I know they throw them in there, but talking to people that work in media doesn't sell. There's that phrase, and I can't think of it.
It leads.
Thank you. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's part of us as consumers. Like, I mean, there is a part of our brain that it's looking for signs of chaos and disorder. That's how we survived. That's how we survived. And I think we have to very consciously be looking for goodness and be searching it out. It doesn't necessarily come to us in the media landscape that we have now, because here's the thing about the news. People are always like, oh, well, the news is so negative, it must be real. Well, the news is the news because it's newsworthy. It doesn't actually happen all that often. So all the signs of chaos and disorder and planes crashing and horrible things happening, for the most part, those things don't happen all that often. That's why they're in the news. And unfortunately, goodness and progress are very often something that's slow, making slow movement. It's not super sexy and happening all at once. It's very rare that you get something like, I think a great example is the ocean cleanup project, where you get like a one-off prodigy who's like, I'm going to clean up all the plastic in the ocean, and like does it successfully. That's pretty rare. Most of the time, it's people that work super hard, that are very passionate, that are very slowly over many, many years making a lot of progress. But if you look at the stats around the world, people are more educated. There's less poverty. There's less war. There is less child labor. There is all these metrics. There's less infant mortality, mother mortality. Like there's all like less of it. Like we are moving towards progress, but those are slow. That happens slowly, and so it's not sexy. So we're not hearing it on the news. But like it would be great if there was a section of like we just read the same 5 stats that are improving every single week. I think we'd all be pretty astonished about how many people a day are getting out of poverty and how many people a day are living past the age of 4 in ways that they never have in the whole history of humanity. I think we'd be pretty stoked, and I think we would have more energy to contribute to the things that are making that possible. Because I think maybe as servant leaders, you talk about this, I'm sure eventually we get burnt out on it's hard to upkeep that amount of care all the time. And I think one of the things that we notice, about 20% of people really do care so deeply that they can get burnt out about caring. And so for us, it's part of our mission to make sure that like they feel nurtured and they know, okay, I'm contributing something in this conspiracy of goodness. Someone else is contributing something. It's all working towards something even better.
Domino effect, and that's changing the world.
Yeah.
And I always say we want to do that and try to help. Is there a shortage of goodness stories?
No, we can't write enough stories. Like this is the amazing thing. There's no shortage of goodness stories. We have partners in goodness that we are constantly trying to work with. There are stories that we can't even cover. There's stories, the way that we cover most of our stories is we like to have a video that goes with it. I'm a multimodal thinker. So we always like to have a video that goes with these amazing stories because sometimes they're so visually stunning. You have to see them to believe them. And so for us, there's just not enough time in the day. And, you know, all I can say is if we have more members and we build out, you know, a bigger organization, we can start to write more and more about them, but we are not at a loss at all for stories of goodness out there.
And I'm glad you said that because I knew that probably is the answer because we see so much negative. I've heard people say, well, there's not enough good happening in the world. You just disproved that.
No. And think about this too. Ask yourself, I ask this to everybody. Like, I think we very often like, you know, something good that just happened in your hometown. I know something good. We just had this phenomenal little tiny town in Vermont, phenomenal bike festival about the opening of a brand new, wonderful bike trail. Many people donated to it. It was incredible. The community came together. That's a story of goodness. And guess what? The town down the road that I probably grew up thinking didn't have anything going for it, I'd ask one of their community leaders and they would name 5 things that just happened in the last week. Every community, every person on this planet can name something wonderful that's happening in their community. And so if we can all do it, that means it's happening everywhere. It's not happening just because it's over there. There are good things happening everywhere.
Well, it's the negative is pushing it down too. Is like, I can't really be good. Look at, you know, Ukraine, debt ceiling, you know, all this big stuff, and it's funny. The negative
is important to know about. Like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I think what I think is important, and I say, make sure I always try and say this on thing. I'm not saying don't listen to the news. I don't want to, we need to be informed. We need to be informed in a meaningful way, not by doom scrolling. We need to be informed in a way that helps us understand the real issues that are going on in a non-politicized way. We need to understand what's going on so that we can help to push the future forward. But if we're constantly finding ourselves doom scrolling, or we've just got the TV on in the background with whatever, choose your station, neither is good. It's not good. It's not good for us. It's not good for our future. It's not good for our decision making. It's not good for the health of our relationships. We have to be taking a step back and doing an audit of our sort of media landscape to make sure that we're doing it in the most healthy way possible. And that includes finding positive news because on balance, there's an equal amount at the very least, if not more.
A good person would say that, and you are a good person. No, you're right. Because, you know, I do, you know, watch the news. I just don't embrace, you know, engulf in it. Social media, I mean, how much negative is going through, something happens and it's like Twitter and all that. And what a way to end the show. I think I have to have you back because there's more goodness we need to talk about.
I know.
This was a short time, but I want to thank you for being on the show. And audience, please reach out to her. The least thing you could do is, like I'm going to do today, is sign up for the newsletter, get some goodness in your life and share that goodness, and then move forward and reach out to Liesl. And she's like a diesel. She's going to go forward like a diesel train and make goodness happen. I just made that up, and that sounded kind of good.
There you go. I like that. I'll add that in.
Yeah, the diesel train. Yeah, you can use that. Well, thank you again. And can I have one more favor from you?
Yes.
And you've given us a bunch of nuggets. Can you give me one more piece of advice my audience can hear to help them in their journey in life?
I think the most important piece of I don't know, advice I ever got was that on par, it will all be good. Like right now, it may not seem good, or right now we may have things that are overwhelming. And I always go back to the, will it matter in 5 minutes? Will it matter in 5 months? Will it matter in 5 years? And I think to me, that's such an important thing, because if I reacted to things that felt so immediate and so scary in this moment that wouldn't matter in 5 years, I would continuously find myself stuck in ruts, continue over and over again. And so I always ground myself whenever a big emotion comes over, or I'm feeling overwhelmed about the news or about a business decision or about any of that. I try and remember, will it matter in 5 minutes? Will it matter in 5 months? Will it matter in 5 years? And that's always grounding. Like, it is a grounding practice, because it helps you prioritize it. It helps you decide, do I need to answer this email right now, or is my kids being present for my kids' soccer game more important? It reminds me, is this worth my health and my safety, if I'm stressing out every night and pulling all-nighters, or is it worth going forward? And I think as a servant leader, it's super important, because we can get caught up in trying to do everything for everybody. And well, that person, if you just wait 5 minutes or 5 days, and still be helpful, but it's, you put yourself first a little bit, I think it gives you more in the tank to do more going forward and for the world.